You kids, what am I gonna do? I know, I've got a magic trick. Are you ready? All you have to do is click your fingers after 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We'll try again. Ready? I'm gonna think magic. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I don't know what to do, GOO Kids. We'll try one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It worked, GOO Kids. Yes, now we can get on with today's video. We have got such an exciting video for you today, so I'm not going to take up any more time. We're going to pass straight along to today's game. See you in a bit, guys.
Hey GOO Kids, welcome to my favourite segment of any GOO video. It's the game. Don't we just love the game? And I know what you're probably thinking, who's this man? Why is he here? Or if you watched the very first episodes of this, you'll be thinking, is Ben back? Ben's back for today, I'm here. So yeah, I'm Ben. If you don't recognise me, or if you do, hello and thank you for returning. Thanks for watching every single week. It's great to have you. I hope you're enjoying it as much as we've all been enjoying watching it at home, and when we film it, we have so much fun. So I'm gonna do a game, and I'll be thinking, oh, what game are they gonna really enjoy? So I'm gonna do a game that I enjoy, a game that I think is brilliant, a game that just cannot be beaten. Welcome. There's a car outside. I will explain, I'm very distracted by cars because I've got a Lego set coming. But welcome to charades, and that is how you pronounce it. If you say charades, it's wrong. It's charades. Charades. Everyone say it together. 3, 2, 1. Charades. Well done if you said it. And for that one person that said charades, try again. Rewind. Say charades. Anyway, here we are. We're gonna do charades. I was thinking, what does everyone know? So I'm doing some Disney movies, and you're gonna have to see if you guess them. I'll do them all twice. If you can guess it, great. If you can't, that's not a problem, because I'm very bad at charades. Here we go. Right, number 1, the first one. Let's see if you can get it. Could you get that? Oh, I'm hearing it. I can hear you shouting it from here, because it's that obvious, isn't it? It's Frozen. Yeah, so that's the first one. Oh, I forgot to say. Frozen. Well done if you got that home. Right, we're going to do the second one. I've actually given myself a really difficult one. Could you get it? Because it's really hard, this one actually. One word. I'm hearing some of you got it, not all of you. I'm going to do it one last time. You've got it, well done, because no one else is shouting out. You've got it, just you. Incredible. Yeah, it's up. See, they got it right. They said up, it was up. Everyone knows now it's up. Right, number 3. For that. Hold on, this is very unprepared. I've not filmed you in ages. I'm grabbing something, I'm grabbing a prop. Sorry whoever's editing this. Get that, 2 words. You've got it, you've got it, well done. I'm here. Oh, you're all getting it now, you're all getting it. You guys, you're brilliant. Unstoppable. Yes, Lion King, well done. So, number 3, another hard one. Getting it, that's what I got. Oh dear. Have you got it? You've got it. Oh, let's just wait. I'll do it one last time for everyone else. You're getting it, you're getting it, yeah. I think you've all got it now. Monsters Inc. What a movie. Are we all going to watch Monsters at Work when it comes out? Yes we are, because it looks great. Number 4. I don't know how many of these I'm going to do. Number 4. 2 words. You got it. You've got it. You've got it. Oh, you're all doing really well. Yes. It is. It's Finding Nemo. You've got it. I think you're all incredible at this. You're all better than me. The second one, I wish I hadn't put this one in. Right. 2 words. Got it? Have you got it? I'm gonna go again. Yes. Oh, you're all getting it. You're all incredible. You watching at home. You're being so loud as well. I can hear you from here. Yes, it is. It's the Jungle Book. I think you've got it. Jungle Book. Right. Final one I'm gonna do. If you've not been getting them, don't worry, because I think you'll get this one. It's 2 words. This word. Second word. If you got it, I'm going to do it one last time. First word. Second word. Yes, obviously, you all got that one. Everyone. I've not heard one person get it wrong. It's Frozen 2. Well, thank you for joining me for the game. It's been brilliant. I've loved being back. So make sure you stay tuned, keep your eyes peeled, your ears peeled, get your listening hats on. You're going to love the rest of the episode. I'll see you later. Thank you for watching.
Can everyone sing together? Have you heard of the one called Savior? Have you heard of his perfect love? Have you heard of the one in heaven? Have you heard how he gave his son? 'Cause I have found this love, and I believe in the Son. Show me your way. I believe in the one called Savior. I believe he's the risen one. I believe that I'll live forever. I believe that the King will come. 'Cause I have found this love, and I believe in the Son. Show me your way. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. I believe in the one called Savior. I believe he's the risen one. I believe that I'll live forever. I believe that the King will come. 'Cause I have found this love, and I believe in the Son. Show me your way. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. 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 Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend. You will always be. Nothing will ever change that.
Hello, my name's Jacob and it is now time for our story. So make sure you're listening, make sure you're listening, make sure you're listening, and you right there, make sure you're listening because it's a good one. Not gonna lie, it's a slightly long story today, which is good because you love my voice, so you're gonna really enjoy it. It's bad because you love my voice, so you're gonna really enjoy it. So here we go, it's the story of Esther and Mordecai. If you've not heard the story before, you're in for a treat. If you have heard the story before, you're in for a treat because I'm going to tell it you in an amazing way. We start at the beginning. So there's a guy called Mordecai. There's a guy called Mordecai. 10 million points to you if you can spell that. Yeah, so 10 million points to you. Mordecai with a C. I've given you a little clue there. A guy called Mordecai. He has a cousin called Esther. Now it says in the Bible that Esther has no mother or father, so Mordecai adopts his cousin Esther, and he just begins to help her, feed her, make sure she's all right, just doing good things because he's a good Mordecai, right? His name's actually Mordecai. We're going to move on. So Mordecai is looking after Esther, trying to help her, and there's a king at the time, and his name is King Xerxes. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. It's spelled like Xerxes or something like that. I'm going to pronounce him King Xerxes. I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Xerxes. So this king, he's looking for a wife. Okay, he's looking for a wife, and he decides that he's going to search the kingdom, and he finds Esther. Now Mordecai gives Esther some really important information before she goes off to marry the king. Spoilers. He gives her some information, he gives her some advice. He says, don't tell anyone you're Jewish. Don't tell anyone you're Jewish because then they'll think differently about you. So Mordecai tells Esther this. Esther goes off into the palace, marries King Xerxes. By the way, I forgot to tell you, we're in the middle of a series called Solomon Says. Okay, this is week 3 of Solomon Says, the best week because of me. Just kidding. JB was incredible last week. I'm not going to beat JB. So if you come here expecting a better message than last week, I'm sorry. JB's the best storyteller there is. Okay, but we're going to carry on anyway. Mordecai, Esther goes to live with the king. Esther marries King Xerxes, and she becomes Queen Esther. Now the king has a right-hand man, a guy who does everything for him, and his name is Haman. Okay, and we're going to come on to Haman in just a minute, because what happens next is Mordecai is by the gates of the palace. Okay, he's near the king's gates, and he overhears some people who are pretty angry with King Xerxes. They're so angry they begin to plot treason. They begin to plot to kill the king. Okay, and Mordecai overhears this, so he quickly runs, does a little scoot, and he runs and tells Esther, and Esther runs, she does a little scoot, she runs and tells King Xerxes, and the king goes to investigate. Well, he sends some of his advisors, his supervisors, his whoever, some of his peoples, right? He sends them to investigate. Sorry, I don't know what happened. He sends them to investigate. They go and find the people, and they find out that it's true, and they kill these 2 people that were going to try and kill King Xerxes. So Esther finds favour with the king because she's told him of this plan and saved his life. And then this is where Haman comes in. So Haman is the king's right-hand man. Haman is really cool. And the king makes a rule that whenever Haman goes through the gates to the kingdom, to the palace, every time he goes through those gates, everyone near the gates must bow down to him. So he makes this rule. Everyone's like bowing down like, Haman, we love you. Ah! Everyone is bowing down to Haman apart from one person, one man, and that is Mordecai. Okay, he says, I'm not bowing down to Haman, I only bow down to God. Okay, and the rulers, the soldiers at the gates notice this, and they go to Haman and they say, Haman, honestly, this guy's disrespecting you. Like, we need to let you know that Mordecai doesn't bow down for you, doesn't worship you. What are you going to do about it? So Haman finds out that Mordecai is Jewish, and he says, I don't just want to hurt Mordecai. I don't just want to stop the Mordecai problem. He says, I'm going to stop the problem with all Jewish people so that everyone will bow down to me no matter what. So he goes to see the king, King Xerxes, and he says to the king, Yo, king, Yo Kingy. That's what he probably called him. He probably didn't. He'd have probably been killed if he called him Kingy. He goes to see King Xerxes and he says, look, there's some people that are gathered around your kingdom and they're not doing what the king asked. They're ignoring the king. They're not bowing down to me like you told them to. And it's all these people and they're all Jewish. So he tells a bit of a lie, right? So he says they're all not doing what you said. Give me permission to get rid of them all, to kill them all. And the king's like, yeah, they're not doing what I said, so sounds fair enough to me. Do it. So he takes off his ring, gives him the ring, and that's a big deal, because what would happen is that was the king's ring, and it had a special signet on it, a special thing. So not like my ring, because my ring is just plain all the way around, right? It would have had like what they would have used to stamp any letters, stamp any rules. So that would be the king's sign, that he had stamped the letter to say this is what the king wants. So Mordecai, no. So Haman does this. He takes the ring, stamps the rule in, and he sends it out in the kingdom, saying that all Jewish people must be killed. Okay? But, right, Mordecai hears about this. He gets really upset. He tears his clothes. Tears his clothes. Because that's what they did. That was to show how upset they were. Okay, he tears his clothes and he walks around in the clothes because that was to show just how upset he was. So he's walking around, he's crying loudly. The Bible actually says he was wailing, which is probably pretty loud. Like he wanted everyone to know that he was upset. And Esther finds out what's going on and she starts to get upset. And she's worrying now because Jewish people are her people. She is also a Jew, but Mordecai, remember, told her not to say that she was Jewish, okay? So Queen Esther's upset and she says to the king, she doesn't touch him straight away, she says to the king, King, let's have a banquet because I really want to ask you something. And the king's like, look, Esther, I love you so much. If you want half my kingdom, you can have half the kingdom. If you, like, I love you that much, I'll give you half of everything I have. All my money, all my power, everything. You can have half of it, whatever you want. And she says, let's have dinner, me and you and Haman, we'll have a feast, and I'll ask you for what I want. Now, while all this has been organised, the king goes to sleep that night. Sorry, I fell asleep. Oh, the king goes to sleep that night, and while he's asleep, he's struggling to sleep. He's really struggling. He can't work it out. He can't sleep. Something's on his mind. So he goes back through his kind of history books, his records, and he's looking through the books, and he finds the story. I probably won't call it. He finds the record. That's a better word for it. He finds the record of Mordecai working out the plan of these two people to kill him. Remember that story where Mordecai found out two people wanted to kill him? He told Esther. Esther told the king had them dealt with. Okay? And he realizes that it was Mordecai, and he says to his soldiers, he says to the people around him, he says, what did we do for Mordecai? Mordecai saved my life. How did we reward him? What did we give him? What did we do for him? And the guy's like, I don't know. Nothing. We didn't do anything for him. Nothing. And the king's like, that's not good enough. So he starts to think, what can I do? What can I do to thank Mordecai? What can I do to repay him for saving my life? And just when he's thinking about this, who walks into the room or across the courtyard or wherever they were? But Haman, not Mordecai, Haman walks through. And the king says to Haman, Haman, what would you do if you wanted to honour someone who had shown loyalty to the king? If you wanted to reward someone for being loyal, for being kind to the king? And Haman is a bit of an idiot, as we already could probably tell. He's a bit of a muppet, okay? And he thinks that the king is talking about himself. He thinks the king is talking about Haman. So Haman starts to think, he starts to rub his little hands together, and he's like, he gets a little bit greedy and a bit selfish, and he's like, what do I want? And he says, King, for this person that you want to reward, here's what you should do. You should bring out one of your robes that you have worn, your very self, and you should wear the robe. You should bring out the very horse that you have rode on, ridden on, sat on, whichever, the very horse that you have used. I don't know whether it's rode or ridden. Rode, I'm going to go with rode. The very horse that you have rode on, it doesn't sound right, but we're going to go with it. Bring out that horse and let him go on that horse. Let him sit on that horse. Give him the highest praise that you can give him. And the king's like, amazing. Go and get Mordecai. And Haman's like immediately upset. 'Cause he's like, I was meant to have this. But during this time, Haman's also been plotting against Mordecai, plotting to have him hanged, plotting to have him killed. And he's got it all set up. And then Haman, Esther, and the king sit down for this banquet, for this feast that Esther has asked for. And he says to the king, what is wrong with me at the moment? Also, do you like my fresh trim? I forgot to mention that earlier on. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, back to the story. Esther says to the king, King, I want to ask you something. The king says, yeah, you can have half my kingdom, anything you want. You can have whatever you want. I don't know what, I'm not a goldfish. Anything you want, you can have it. And she says, King, you'd save me, right? You love me, you'd save me. And the king's like, yes, I love you, I save you. And she's like, I also love my people, and I want to save them. And the king's like, yes, I want to save your people. And then Esther finally tells the king, she says, King, I am Jewish, and you've put out a rule. You've been tricked into putting out a rule that all my people should be killed by this man. And she points at Haman, giving him the evils as well. Honestly, I don't know how to give the evils. Is it like death stare, like angry stare, like? So anyway, she points at Haman. She's like, King, it was him. He did it. Haman's like, just freezes. He freezes. He doesn't know what to do. He's like, the king flies off in a rage. He goes away. And Haman knows instantly that the king wants to kill him. So he starts pleading with Esther. He's like, Esther, please, please, Esther, please, please, just talk to the king. Don't let me die, please. Please, Esther, save me. But when the king comes back in, he thinks that Haman is trying to attack Esther. So he's already annoyed with Haman, and he says, you know what, that is it, I've had enough. He's going to attack the queen in my own palace? No way, not Right? Probably didn't do that. Anyway, so he has Haman killed. And then all the Jewish people can celebrate. Esther is relieved and Mordecai is safe once more. Now, we're in the middle of this story. This series is called Solomon Says. And the idea is that whatever Solomon says, that is something good that we should do because it will make our lives better and the lives of the people around us better. So the thing we can learn from the story of Esther and Mordecai and King Xerxes is Solomon says, be kind and truthful. You see, Esther wasn't truthful at first. She hid that she was Jewish. If she'd said from the beginning that she was Jewish, would that have changed what happened? Would that have stopped Mordecai being upset and tearing his clothes? Would it have stopped the king setting out the ruling that Jewish people needed to be killed? Because the king loved Esther so much, he was willing to give her everything. You see what happened in the story when she finally told him the truth. But something else about Mordecai and Esther is that they were kind. They were so kind. They were kind to each other. Mordecai was kind in the beginning when he adopted his own cousin Esther into his family and protected her and loved her. Esther was kind to the king. That's why the king loved her so much, because she was kind. She saved her entire people. What an amazing story. That's something we can learn, is be kind and truthful. It's so important that we tell the truth. So important. Why is it important that we tell the truth? One, because that's what the Bible teaches us. We've just seen it in the story of Esther. When Esther told the truth, she saved her people. But also when we lie, sometimes it can feel good, but that leads us to tell more lies and more lies. And in the end, when we're telling lies, people often work out quickly that we're lying. It's like if I came in right now and said, guys, you'll never guess what? I am the best Fortnite player ever in the world, ever. Like, I got 1 million kills in one game. Yeah, 1 million kills. I know there's only 100 people in a game, but I got 1 million kills. If I said that, there's no way you'd believe me. Maybe if you're not bothered about Fortnite and you actually think I'd be that good, you'd believe me. But I know anyone that's played Fortnite with me knows I'm more likely to die 1 million times than get 1 million kills. That's just true, right? You don't have to agree so loudly, Jack Wells. Bit rude, that. And Zion like, just because you beat me anyway. When we lie, we create a reputation, and people start to know that we lie, and then everything we start to say, people start to think maybe that's a lie. But when we tell the truth, people really love that. People really love when we can tell the truth, but be kind at the same time. Be kind and truthful together. Now, I've talked for way too long, so I'm going to finish it there because we've got an amazing craft. And I'm not just saying that because Alice is making me say it. But she is. Honestly, she is. She makes me say that she does the best videos. But she does do the best videos. She does. So enjoy craft. Enjoy the rest of your day, all week, or whatever, month, year, decade, everything. Miss you so much. Can't wait to see you soon. You are the absolute best. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be kind, be truthful, because that's what Solomon said. See you later.
Hey GOO Online, I hope that you are enjoying today's GOO video. It is now time for the craft, and I am so excited for today's craft. It involves lots of jewels, which is really exciting. So today's craft is based on the story of Esther in the Bible. And obviously what happens in the story is that Esther ends up being very kind and very truthful, and that's why she is such an amazing person in the Bible. And so today we are going to do a craft based on that story. And in the story what happens is, when Esther tells the truth and is kind, the king gets his scepter, and he in that moment Esther asks the king to be nice to her people, the Jews, and to stop destroying them. And so he gets his scepter and he touches her on the head with it and says, yes, I will stop destroying your people and I will stop destroying the Jews. So that was a really, really amazing thing for Esther to do, to be brave and to ask him to not do that. And so we are going to make our own scepters so that we can go around and do really nice, kind things, be kind and be truthful with our scepters. So what you're going to need is either some card or some cardboard, whichever you would prefer or whichever you've got in your house. So I've got some cardboard here, so I've been able to cut out the outline of a little scepter that I'm going to use to sort of crown people, I guess. So what you're going to need to do is cut out like sort of a scepter shape, something that you can, you know, maybe touch somebody on the head with, or something that you can wave about. So this is the shape that I've got here. So you're just going to need to cut that out. Obviously get an adult to help you cut that out with the scissors. So once you've done that, again, you can cut that out. You can make it a big one out of cardboard, or you can make it a small one and do it just out of a piece of card. So once you've got your scepter, you are going to need to decorate it. So I've got some you can't really see that it's gold, but it's kind of gold coloured paper, and what I'm going to do is stick that on my scepter so it looks like it's made out of gold, because that's what scepters were made out of in those days. They were very, very expensive pieces of sort of decoration, so they were always made out of gold. So I've got some paper here that I am going to stick on with a glue stick. You're just going to have to give me a second because I forgot to get a glue stick. So here we go. Oh, there we go. Nearly knocked the thing over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue on my gold paper onto my scepter to make it look like a piece of royal equipment. So just stick that on. Okay, so I've stuck that on now, so it looks a little bit more gold colour. Now what you need to do is decorate it, and this is where all the jewels come into play. Look at all of those
jewels. So obviously, sceptres were something that only royal people had. So they were covered in jewels. Just like their crowns would be covered in expensive jewels, their sceptres would be covered with expensive jewels as well. So you just need to get some jewels that you can stick onto your sceptre, or you can use shiny stickers, or you could put glitter on it. Just whatever you want to decorate your royal sceptre with. So I'm just sticking on some, this is how it's looking at the moment. Just sticking on some jewels onto my sceptre. Oh, dropped that one. And you can, like I said, you can stick whatever you want to stick on here. Just covering it in jewels, because I like anything that's sparkly, really. So I'm going to stick this on, these on. And then what I'm going to write on the sceptre as well, it's just a couple of words to remind me that, you know, sometimes it is hard to be kind, and sometimes it is hard to be truthful. And in the Bible story of Esther, she found it very hard to be kind and hard to be truthful, but she did it, and it was the best thing that she could have done, and it was amazing, and it meant that lots of people's lives were changed by her being kind and truthful. So sometimes it's good to remind ourselves of that. So on my sceptre, on the handle where I hold it, I'm going to write the words trust God and always be kind and truthful. So I've written that. I've written trust God and always be kind and truthful. I think it's backwards, so you might not be able to read that properly. But this is my sceptre. So I've got trust God and always be kind and truthful written on there. And then I've got lots of jewels on here as well. So basically, I'm ready now as royalty to start waving around my sceptre and doing nice and kind and truthful things. So maybe you could send us a picture of you with your sceptres and all the decorations that you've put on them. Maybe you could even tell us a story of when you have been really kind and really truthful to somebody, maybe a friend, maybe a parent or a guardian, maybe a brother or a sister. Maybe you could tell us a story of when you've used your sceptre and been really kind and truthful. I really hope that you have enjoyed this craft, and I'll see you really soon. If you see me just waving my sceptre around, you know why. Have a great week, and I can't wait to see you.
Sadly, that's it for today's video, GOO Online, but that means the countdown to next week's video begins. So keep your eyes nice and peeled. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already. Make sure you send these pictures or videos of you joining in with the worship or doing the craft to @icon.goo on Instagram, because we want to see all the amazing things that you guys are doing. Have an amazing week, everyone, and we'll see you next week for GOO Online. Bye, guys!